Well, the 105th Dakota Days football game, certainly a memorable one as South Dakota rallies to beat Southern Illinois by a score of 27-24. Here to talk about that is head coach Bob Nielson. And Bob, it didn't get off to a great start on Saturday, but boy, I tell you, that's why it's a 60-minute game, right?
Yeah, and it was one of those where we had to play all 60 minutes. They jumped off to a really good start, made a couple of long drives, converted some third down situations, and between that and a little bit of struggle for us early on offensively, and we're able to build a lead that forced us to have to come back.
What did you learn about your football team that day?
Well, our guys have fought all year. I've told people that, and they certainly showed that fight. The points right before halftime I thought were big, giving us a little bit of momentum. We talked at halftime how important the first possession of the third quarter was going to be, and our guys responded. They took that ball down and scored, and when that ball went in the end zone, you could just feel the entire momentum of that game, and the confidence of our players really changed.
Well, you used that word momentum, and one of the keys to that momentum turn was the insertion of Aiden Bauman. He gets a shot at quarterback, and you want to talk about guys making the most of an opportunity. It was clear that number 2 did that on Saturday.
Yeah, he came in and for a guy that was really taking his first collegiate snaps, played with some poise, made good decisions. I certainly was pleased with what he did and the fact that we moved the ball with some consistency under his leadership.
So the ultimate question then, he comes in, he plays very well as the backup. Is he still the backup, or is he going to be the starter from here on?
He certainly demonstrated that he can play, and he's going to be a guy that we can count on. And at the same time, we feel like we've got 2 really good quarterbacks. And as we push ahead this week, we're going to continue to evaluate that situation. But at the same time, with the performance that he had on Saturday afternoon, definitely a guy we're going to know that we can count on.
Yeah, certainly good to know that much anyway. And certainly you're going to be helped as a quarterback anytime you get the support of a running game like you did on Saturday. Southern Illinois was stopping people on the ground, giving up less than 81 yards per game in rushing. You put 2 guys over 100 yards, both Shamari Lawrence and Travis Tice. That had to be really, really pleasing.
Yeah, and it was good to see that. We opened up some holes. Those guys continue to get yards after first contact, make people miss. Had a couple of big runs, a couple of big runs, and to get 100-yard games, you usually are going to have a bigger run or two, and it's been a nice compliment. Neither one of them, as a result, has to carry the ball 25 plus times a game. We're able to balance that rushing game between the 2 of them.
Football, obviously, the ultimate team game, Bob, and at one point or another, each phase has done things to help you guys so far this year. But in the games that you haven't won, something has been missing, and it really all did come together finally on Saturday, and the defense certainly a big part of that. After some struggles early, they rebounded in a big way in that second half, made a lot of plays down the stretch at critical times, too. Yeah,
great second half of football defensively to take that kind of an offensive team and hold them to, I think, about 100 yards total offense. Got them off the field in third downs, the things that we didn't do as well in the first half. And we also flipped the coin on the offensive side, where we were able to stay on the field and move the ball with some consistency, which has been something that has been missing. And so all 3 phases, kicking game was good, and as well, all 3 phases were a part of that win.
And one of the individuals you have to shout out on the defensive side, Cam Tisdale. It's a guy that's been around a long time. His career's kind of been up and down a little bit, but boy, he delivered in a big way individually on Saturday, forced 2 turnovers, both of which you guys converted into touchdowns. He is the Missouri Valley Defensive Player of the Week as a result.
Yeah, and deservingly so. Cam's played really well this year. With Miles Harden being out on Saturday, we leaned on him even more for repetitions. He and Dayron McKinney, played the majority of the game at corner. Both of them had good games, but the turnovers that Cam was able to generate were a big factor.
Special teams is that final phase, and Eddie Ogamba, it's never been a question about his leg strength. There's plenty of it there. but he's been hit or miss. 4 of 8 coming into the day on field goals, but he stepped up and hit a couple of huge ones for you from 46 and 44.
Yeah, really happy for Eddie. He's a young man that works exceptionally hard. I don't think anybody took the Illinois State game any harder than Eddie did. Having a chance to kick a field goal there later in the fourth quarter that could have put us in the lead, and to show confidence in him. We had 2 opportunities on Saturday, and he knocked them both through, including one that ended up being enough points to win the game.
All right, it's one thing to win a game and feel really good about it right now, but obviously the next step, you know what the situation is. You gotta keep winning them. And another test this week at Youngstown State. How do you harness that energy, that excitement, that momentum as you get ready to take on the Penguins?
Well, it's always easier to build forward coming off a win, and at the same time, the way that we played in that second half has got to be the way that we play all the time. With all 3 phases contributing, we've got to be able to take that same kind of passion and enthusiasm on the road this week to Youngstown, which is a very difficult place to play, and against a team that's very, very talented.